Hi, everybody. This is Elizabeth. I'm doing a screencast of a presentation on fronting in English grammar. I thought that term was very funny when I first read it because to me, when you say fronting, it's like keep calm and stop fronting. But obviously, that's not what it meant. So, the fronting that we're talking about in English grammar is in the chapter from Focus and Emphasis. What is it and when do we use it? In English grammar, fronting is used for emphasis or to show exclamation or to place focus on a certain aspect of the phrase. There are a couple types of fronting. There's negative fronting, extent degree comparison fronting, present and past participle fronting, and adverbials of direction and position. There are tons of great videos as well on each of these types of fronting on YouTube as well. Negative fronting. Negative fronting, some examples would be not in my house you won't, or never have I been so insulted, or no way are those his real teeth. Negative fronting shows disbelief, incredulousness, and places an emphasis on something that is out of the ordinary. It's used to emphasize the attitude of the speaker or writer and to place focus on the emotions of the person speaking in relation to what is happening in the context. Extent degree comparison fronting is the second kind. Extent degree comparison fronting is used to prepare the listener or reader for the second half of the sentence by starting with information that will explain the context. It shows the extent or degree to which the emphasis is made or compares two things to show emphasis. Some examples are, so annoying was my date that I left in the middle of dinner. Even louder than my first rock concert was the neighbor's party that night. Or, more disgusted I could not have been when I saw a roach crawl out of my cup. Fronting in these examples places focus on the second half of the sentence by prepping for an action or a reaction that happened to an emotion experience of the speaker or writer. So in the so annoying was my date, the action, the reaction was I left in the middle of dinner. The experience that we're comparing to in the second example is that the rock concert is a normal thing to prepare to compare to a neighbor's party. So the speaker is giving a way of seeing how loud the neighbor's party was that night, which comes in the second half of the sentence. And thirdly, we're prepping the listener or the reader to understand what was going to be disgusting by starting off by saying, more disgusted I could not have been, and then something gross is coming, which is prepping the person in advance. There is also the third type of fronting, which is present past participle fronting. This shows marked word order, so it calls attention to the state of the subject by fronting it first in the sentence. It places emphasis to the current state of being of the subject and not its past state. So lying in a pool of blood was the young man is an example of present participle fronting. If I take away that present participle lying and I just have in a pool of blood was the young man, that sentence still makes sense, but it doesn't tell me his current state. It tells me maybe a past state or maybe a future state. So the present participle is helping me know what's going on at that time. Even with past participle fronting, we have two examples. Separated at the mall were the children. If I take away separated, we could say at the mall were the children. That's still a grammatically correct sentence. And notice that with each of these examples, we have subject, I think it was object, subject, predicate inversion, where were or was comes before the actual subject. Eaten in the kitchen were all the cookies. Okay, so in the kitchen were all the cookies also still makes grammatical sense for these sentences. When you take away this emphasis, one can simply remove the fronted participle and the sentence would still be grammatically correct. So in each of these, that works out. In the fourth example, we have adverbials of direction and position. These are ways of showing direction and position. It places emphasis on the where of the sentence. So, i.e., where is the subject or where is the subject headed? This emphasis is used to focus the reader and listener's attention to the intent or importance of location in the sentence and in the context of the sentence. So an adverbial of direction would be towards the garage meandered the cat. These okay, and so that all of these as well with adverbials of direction and position work the exact same way when you invert the subject and the predicate. So you could also say towards the garage, the cat meandered. And a position example would be at the table, Dave sat silently. We could again invert that subject predicate and say at the table sat Dave silently, and it would still work. So um, those are all of the types of fronting that are given in the grammar book, which it's in chapter 30. I hope you enjoyed this sort of mini explanation, and remember to keep calm and stop fronting. Thank you. Bye-bye.